Welcome to a brand new episode of the Jampack Report today for October the 18th of 2019. Of course, my name is Samuel Adams, and this is a daily gaming news breakdown of the hottest stories coming out of the gaming industry. If you enjoy the show, you like what you see, subscribe on YouTube, find it on a podcast feed of your choosing, and on top of that, you can find the written digest on medium.com/jampackreport. That also includes links to the show if you do want to give it a listen or a look. But today we are talking about Call of Duty Modern Warfare because yesterday the team announced how monetization is going to be handled in the post-launch seasons, and it sounds like this could be the marking of the turning of a new leaf for Call of Duty overall. I am very excited. Then, the Nintendo Switch has topped 15 million units sold in North America alone. Two new models of Nvidia's Shield TV have been leaked by Newegg and Amazon. So you might be saying, those are pretty reputable sources, and you would be right. Then, Fallout 76's Human NPC update has been delayed into 2020. NBA 2K20 is the best-selling game for September of 2019, but I've got the MPD report for the month to break down the entire rundown. Then Capcom is planning to revive more dormant IP, and finally I will tell you about the new freebies on the Epic Game Store for the week. They're pretty good, and they're kind of spooky. But that is the roundup for today's show, and I do hope you enjoy what I bring to the table. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. First off, on the Activision Games blog, Call of Duty Modern Warfare post-launch approach to new content. A message from the Call of Duty team. Call of Duty Modern Warfare is almost here. From the moment this project began 3 years ago, the energy has been extraordinary. We have set our sights on not only creating the best game possible this year, but also on breaking down walls and bringing the community together. Starting with Modern Warfare, we will be introducing crossplay to unite the community across platforms for the first time, removing Season Pass and a la carte DLC multiplayer map packs to ensure everyone can play together, delivering free post-launch multiplayer maps and modes for all players, and releasing post-launch multiplayer maps and modes simultaneously on all platforms. We are excited about what these changes will bring to Call of Duty players. That said, we also recognize there is one more topic that many fans are interested to learn more about. Today, let's address the basics for the in-game economy coming in Modern Warfare. Number 1, we are introducing a new Battle Pass system, not a loot box system. Number 2, all functional content that has an impact on game balance, such as base weapon and attachments, can be unlocked simply by playing the game. Number 3, the new Battle Pass system will allow players to see the content they are earning or buying. Battle Passes will launch time to new post-launch live seasons, so you can unlock cool new Modern Warfare themed content that matches each season. With the new Battle Pass system, players will be able to earn COD points by playing the game. There will be both a free stream and a premium stream of content in the Battle Pass system in Modern Warfare. New base weapons will be earned through gameplay simply by playing Modern Warfare. Functional attachments for base weapons can be unlocked through gameplay as well, just like in the game's beta. The Battle Pass and the in-game store will feature a variety of cosmetic content that does not impact game balance. The Battle Pass for Modern Warfare will not launch when the game releases on October the 25th. Here is why. First and foremost, we are all focused on making the day one experience awesome. Second, it's important to us that everyone who is playing Modern Warfare has the chance to work their way through the new game and unlock all of the rewards that are there waiting for you. We expect to launch this system for Modern Warfare later this year. Understandably, there are still questions around how the economy will evolve through the post-launch live seasons. We recognize this will take time to fully demonstrate. Please know we are committed to delivering a fair system guided by the principles we have outlined here, and will continue to monitor feedback and player engagement to help us achieve that goal. Please look for more information on the live seasons and post-release content plans for Modern Warfare throughout the year and beyond. We are looking forward to playing in just a few days. Thank you, they say on the Activision Games blog. This is incredibly exciting. So to break down exactly what is happening here, the first chunk of this is stuff that we already knew. Introducing crossplay, removing the season pass, delivering free post-launch content, etc., etc. The unification of the timing for release of new content. That's something that's new as well, but that we already knew about. The big announcement here is that loot boxes are going to be taken out entirely, replaced with a Battle Pass system that you might be familiar with from games like Apex Legends and Fortnite, which is a phenomenal system. And I know some people don't like the Battle Pass system. To be quite honest with you, it's the gaming industry. Somebody's going to hate everything. So when it comes down to it, when it company is trying to make money, when a company is trying to monetize in a post-launch environment, the Battle Pass system is fair and balanced if it is done appropriately. And it does create a pretty fruitful experience for the developers and the publisher, but at the same time also gives those who are willing to chunk over a couple of extra bucks something to look forward to in the form of additional cosmetics earned through gameplay. Now, again, the article does reiterate that, yes, the attachments are going to be unlocked through gameplay. Any kind of game-impacting mechanic is going to be unlocked through gameplay. You can't just simply buy a better reticle for your red dot that is going to give you more accuracy. You can't buy a new extended mag through actual real-world currency. No, that's not how the game is going to work. It is going to effectively adopt the Fortnite Battle Pass system, which is phenomenal in my opinion. And I said this on Twitter, and I want to say it here. This is all beginning to make sense to me, because let's say that Call of Duty Modern Warfare breaks the mold and it is the first game that is not annualized. Let's say that Modern Warfare continues to grow and evolve, and then this time next year they release at Treyarch Call of Duty Black Ops, completely and totally rebooted from the ground up with the characters from the original Black Ops, and then they make that into this same exact kind of setup, which Treyarch did allude to yesterday on Twitter. So then you would have Modern Warfare with a post-launch live obviously constantly updating kind of system. You would also have Black Ops constantly updating, and so if you want something set in Vietnam, or even they could incorporate the futuristic settings that were in Black Ops' 2, 3, and 4, if I remember correctly, you could have that kind of experience. Or if you want the Modern Warfare setting, you can play Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which will include, of course, the classic iconic characters that we know and love from Modern Warfare's 1, 2, and 3, and then you could add more and more content as time goes on, effectively making these platforms, which is what everybody has been wanting from Call of Duty for years, to be able to say, we are not annualizing the franchise anymore, we aren't making you fork over $60 every October or November to get the brand new game. Instead, just keep playing this game. We will update it. You buy a couple of battle passes, some skins here and there. Boom shakalaka, we've got a rolling live game that continues to update. And if there's one game that proves this can work in today's day and age, it's Call of Duty Mobile. Now, with that being said, yes, there are a lot of differences between COD Mobile and what's happening this year with Modern Warfare, but it just goes to show that fans are wanting the basic Call of Duty experience. Fans are wanting to return to Modern Warfare, to return to that nostalgia that they have for their childhoods whenever Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2 were coming out. That's what people want, and that's what we're going to be getting this year with Modern Warfare. In a way, of course, there is a lot of new content, a brand new story, but there is still that feeling that you got from the original Modern Warfare. At least that's what I got through my time with the betas. But with that being said, glad to see the Battle Pass system being implemented. I hope it marks the start of a brand new generation of Call of Duty games that does completely ditch the Season Pass, that does completely and totally abandon loot boxes, and that does take on the Battle Pass system, because I'm a big fan of it, and I would be much more willing to buy 6 Battle Passes over the course of a year or whatever, maybe even 2 years, depending on how long the live seasons are, as compared to spending $50 on a Season Pass. And they make more money that way, so there's that. However, you can't play Modern Warfare on the Nintendo Switch, but you could play tons of other games, and it looks like many, many people are, because the Nintendo Switch sales have topped 15 million in North America alone, and it's already crossed the 10 million mark in Europe. As Nintendo heads into a holiday season with both the OG Switch and Switch Lite on store shelves, the company is celebrating 10 months in a row of being the best-selling console in the US, according to NPD numbers. That's enough to cross the 15 million sales mark in North America, and just a week ago, Nintendo announced Switch sales are over 10 million in Europe. In Japan, Famitsu reported earlier this year that despite only being on sale for 2 years, it's already sold more units than Sony's PlayStation 4. So yes, 2019 is looking for another good year for Nintendo, with sales in the US up 20% so far as compared to 2018. And so I did want to mention this because, again, 15 million in North America alone is incredibly impressive. In fact, it's ahead of the PlayStation 4. If you compare this time now to the time of the PS4's release, it is apparently very much so far ahead of where the PS4 was just 2 years out of its release. On top of that, you also have it officially outselling the Wii U, which is not shocking, but considering the amount of time that it's taken to do that, That's still pretty impressive, and that is something to be applauded. But without a doubt, the Nintendo Switch continues to be a big hit, and I still stand behind the idea of this being the biggest item for the holiday season. I think that kids around the world are going to be asking for that Nintendo Switch Lite because it just looks like a fun device to play. And of course, it is worth mentioning that this topping of the 15 million sales mark is coming in the midst of Joy-Con drift lawsuits being filed. On top of that, people are sending in their consoles for repair. A lot of people discussing it, but it seems like overall that's not that big of a deal, and it still continues to fly off store shelves. So good on Nintendo for making a console that people want. Hopefully that quality continues to improve, and hopefully the games continue to roll out because, man, this thing is impressive. I mean, The Witcher 3 launched on it this week. What the hell? That blew my mind. But maybe it could have some competition with the Nvidia Shield TV because there are 2 new versions coming very soon, according to some online leaks. First off, coming to us from The Verge, Nvidia can't be very happy with its online retail partners today after Amazon leaked every detail about the upcoming Shield TV Pro. We'll talk about that one in just a moment. Newegg has now spoiled the reveal of a seemingly more mainstream Shield TV that also supports 4K playback with Dolby Vision. 9 to 5, Google managed to save everything before Newegg wised up and removed the listing. Both streaming devices run Google's Android TV software. The first thing you will notice about this one is definitely the form factor. Whereas the new flagship Shield TV Pro resembles Nvidia's old model, this device has a completely fresh, cylindrical design. It measures 6.5 inches wide and 1.57 inches tall, according to Newegg. Nvidia has found room for HDMI, microSD, and a figure-8 power jack, and even Ethernet in there. The 2019 Shield TV is powered by the same X1 Plus processor as the Pro model, but it comes with half of the amount of built-in storage, 8 gigabytes versus 16. Both devices also share the same remote with backlit buttons that illuminate when you pick it up, voice commands, a user-customizable button, IR for TV controls, and a lost remote feature. The standard Shield TV will support HDR10, Dolby Vision, and Dolby Atmos, so it checks off all of the format support you would want. I'm guessing Nvidia will try to differentiate the Pro as the choice for home theater enthusiasts who want to plug in their large media collections over USB. Newegg has the price for the tube-like Shield TV listed as $199 CA or around $150 US. The Pro is expected to sell for $200 according to Amazon's earlier listing, which, speaking of which, let's talk about the Pro, because it's a bigger version. After multiple leaks, including 2 trips through the FCC, we have known for a while now that Nvidia plans to update its venerable Shield TV Android set-top box. Thanks to an Amazon listing that was first spotted by Android TV Rumors and has since been pulled, we now know the Shield TV Pro will add Dolby Vision HDR. Internally, there's also an updated Tegra CPU. Like the previous model, the Pro model will come with 3 gigabytes of RAM and 16 gigs of internal storage, which you can expand by taking advantage of 2 USB 3.0 ports located on the back of the device. According to Android Central, the listing claimed Nvidia's new Tegra X1 Plus processor is 25% faster than its predecessor, the 4-year-old Tegra X1. Besides support for Dolby Vision, the biggest update is the new remote pictured in the listing. Nvidia has gone with an entirely new design, one that makes the new remote larger and more triangular in shape. Thanks to its new size, the update remote features additional keys, including a dedicated Netflix button. As a nice plus, the buttons feature a motion-activated backlight. The listing mentioned a lost remote feature, which will presumably help you find the peripheral if it ever disappears between some couch cushions. Another quality of life change is that the new remote also makes use of more common AAA batteries instead of the coin cells of the previous model. It also includes a built-in microphone for Google Assistant support and an IR blaster for TV control. All in all, it sounds like a solid update, and of course, the last tidbit of information, the little titty bitty of information, is that it will launch on October the 28th for $200, and it's possible both the price and the date were placeholders, but given the current model starts at $179, a $20 increase for an updated processor sounds like it could actually fit. And so we have 2 brand new models of the Shield TV, and the big point that I want to make here is that I use my Amazon Fire TV daily to watch Twitch, YouTube, to stream movies from various sources. I love my Amazon Fire TV, and so I think Nvidia wants to get in on that specific market because, hey, why wouldn't you? To be able to have this Pro version that does include the USB support, that does include a better processor as compared to the previous model, that's all well and good, but I think a lot of people are going to be going towards this smaller, cylindrical design if they are going with the Shield TV brand. Now, of course, that being said, both are very similar in nature as to what they can do, but the Pro does offer a couple of extra features, including more onboard storage. But the big question is, how many people actually need onboard storage for something like this streaming device? I don't really know about the ramifications of having more storage, but at the same time, it can't hurt, I suppose. But if you want a brand new Shield TV, by all means, you can check out the base model or the Pro model, both of which will presumably be launching in just a couple of days on October the 28th for roughly $150 and $200 respectively. However, maybe you'll want to wait and play a game like Fallout 76, but the human NPC update has been delayed into next year. Fallout 76 has a new release date for its Wastelanders free update, the one that brings NPCs into the game. New release date is a PR euphemism for saying it's all been delayed. Bethesda Game Studios said this morning that Wastelanders will now arrive in the first quarter of 2020, meaning as late as March 31st. It's going to need more time to be the best, most polished update it can be, Bethesda said. We've continued to reevaluate and change our processes to make sure the work we're doing hits our quality bar and yours. Wastelanders was announced back at E3 2019 with a self-deprecating appearance by Bethesda Game Studios creative director Todd Howard, who acknowledged that launching a role-playing game without any human characters to interact with might not have been the best idea. That was all his call, by the way. So it stands to reason that Wastelanders is turning out to be one of the largest expansions we've ever done, as Bethesda put it. Obviously, only human NPCs will introduce not just missions, but dialogue trees, and one assumes charisma influence and other controversial options. The latter has been completely absent from 76, where in-world NPC interaction has been a linear conversation with robots or a holotape recording. But hey, better news, private servers are finally launching next week. This is the Fallout 76 community's #1 ask, and it will give role players more structure to act out their elaborate concepts of post-Appalachia. Oh, wait, hold on. Apocalypse. I like that. With friends. Bethesda also obliquely acknowledged that the Atomic Shop's influence over the game has rankled many players. The storefront, where real money can buy in-game items, was originally intended as a market for cosmetics and other whimsies. Last month, the Atomic Shop began offering gameplay advantages, scrap and repair kits, and a refrigerator to preserve raw and cooked foods. While those time savers are apparently very popular with Atomic Shop customers, Bethesda did say, "We want to create an Atomic Shop experience where players feel good about the spending of their hard-earned atoms," i.e. some items now give the impression that cheating is for sale. To make the system more fun and engaging for all players, we plan on reworking parts of the challenge and reward system next year to be clearer, more fun, and more impactful for all types of players, the studio said. Although Bethesda wasn't more specific, the devs say our main objective is to avoid a situation where players can spend money to gain a competitive advantage or make the game worse for other players. And so they continue to roll out updates for Fallout 76, which I will say has garnered a following since it had a pretty abysmal launch a couple of months ago. In fact, roughly a year ago, I believe, something along those lines. But I think the Wastelanders delay is always a good thing, and I say this every time I report on some kind of delay. A bad game is always bad, but a delayed game is only bad until it comes out, and it turns out that it's a good game. There was a Nintendo executive that said that somewhere along the line in a much more concise and understandable format, but you got the gist of what I was trying to say. So with that being said, I do believe the Wastelanders update will add a ton of value to the game, because what's a Fallout game without having some kind of human interaction? You have to be able to have branching dialogue, even if it is something as simple as the Fallout 4 dialogue, which was simplified beyond belief. Of course, next week's The Outer Worlds will include a ton of branching dialogue, many options. You can pretty much kill anybody in the game whenever you want. Very impressive game like that. And so I'm wondering if that kind of use, that kind of utilization is going to be coming to Fallout 76, or if it's going to be something more simplified. From what we saw at E3, it looks like it's going to be a pretty classic Fallout experience. So looking forward to that. But if you were looking forward to playing Wastelanders before the year was out, it looks like you are going to be waiting until Q1 of 2020. And on top of that, you will be getting a ton of updates rolling out between now and then, including private servers coming next week, and in addition to that, a revamp of the Atomic Shop launching next year. But you don't have to wait to play NBA 2K20. In fact, it looks like a lot of people have not, because NBA 2K20 is September's best-selling game. NBA 2K20 is the best-selling game of September 2019, immediately becoming the best-selling game of 2019. NBA 2K20 also marked the best launch month sales for any sports game in history, a distinction previously held by NBA 2K19. The MPD Group published its monthly sales report for video game sales today. NBA 2K20 beat out games like Borderlands 3 and August 2019's bestseller Madden NFL 20 to become the best-selling game of September. Gearbox's loot shooter set a new franchise launch month sales record for the Borderlands franchise, and Borderlands 3 is currently the third best-selling game of the year. In hardware news, the Nintendo Switch was the best-selling console for September 2019 and the best-selling platform of the year. And of course, as we discussed, they have already sold over 15 million units in North America alone. Of course, the rest of the best-selling games include Borderlands 3 coming in at number 2, FIFA 20 at number 3, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening at 4, just above Madden NFL 20 at 5, Ghost Recon Breakpoint getting in there at number 6 despite pretty lukewarm reviews, Gears 5 holding steady at 7, Code Vein coming in at number 8, NHL 20 at 9, and Mario Kart 8 coming in at number 10. So out of this entire list right here, I do want to reiterate, shocked to see Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint coming in at number 6. I do think that shows that although it might not be the best game, the name still carries a ton of weight. And so whenever you are wondering why Ubisoft doesn't just create new IP, this is why. Even when the game is relatively mediocre in terms of the quality of the game, then you still have games hitting pretty high marks on the sales rankings just because people see Tom Clancy, people see Ghost Recon, and they think, okay, cool, I'm down for that. Now, of course, I enjoyed the time that I spent with the Breakpoint beta. I think it's a game that does grow on you after a while, but by all means, as compared to the games that are also populating this list, you can't even hold a candle to it, if that's the term that's used traditionally. It's just not the same. And so to see it at number 6 above Gears 5, shocking. Of course, Gears 5, a weird situation in and of itself because it is on Game Pass where tons of people have been playing it, including me. So those numbers are probably a bit borked. Then you do have Madden NFL 20 jumping down to number 5, kind of shocking there. But when you consider the competition, I mean, nostalgia-driven Link's Awakening, FIFA 20, one of the biggest games always. Borderlands 3, a huge release for 2019. Not shocking to say the least. But again, NBA 2K20 still blowing people's minds, even with the game literally being released. And then the day after it was released, I believe, something along those lines, as it turns out, they forgot to update the icon on the PC version of the game so that whenever you loaded up NBA 2K20, it turns out it was NBA 2K19 all along, like some kind of screwed up episode of Scooby-Doo. But that's just my 2 cents. The game still sells incredibly well, and so if you can cut cost during development by, I don't know, reboxing the old game, then that's just going to drive profits through the roof. Imagine how good the game could be if they actually revised some aspects of it. But that's just my 2 cents on that one. However, speaking of revising some aspects, Capcom is planning to revive dormant IP as Resident Evil and Monster Hunter continue to take off. Capcom has plans to dip into its library of older intellectual properties and breathe new life into long-dormant series, at least according to the company's 2019 integrated report. The full document traces through Capcom's financial history as well as its future philosophies and plans, offering a peek at how the performance of recent releases like Resident Evil 2 Remake and Monster Hunter World's Iceborne expansion have influenced the company's plans. Capcom doesn't dive into which franchises it expects to make a comeback, but notes that it plans to bolster its numbers to awaken dormant intellectual properties through its focus. Though its focus will be on getting the most revenue-wise out of its current core games. For those core franchises, Capcom credits the success of Resident Evil 2 and Devil May Cry 5, both released this year, to the same meticulous commitment to quality it has employed for Monster Hunter World and, more recently, its expansion alongside an attentive marketing process. For RE2 specifically, an overhauled remake of the 1998 game of the same name, Capcom said it aimed to grab the attention of both fans of the classic Resident Evil games and new fans by cleverly angled social media strategies and a demo with a one-shot quirk. Additionally, reviving that particular legacy game involved ensuring that Remastered both did the classic Resident Evil 2 justice while making it enjoyable for modern players, a likely peek at the meticulous commitment to quality it includes in development plans for its flagship games. The original RE2 is one of the series' most popular titles. Recreating the game for current-gen game consoles meant there were high hurdles to overcome in terms of the fans' expectations for the game and the weight of the brand, notes Capcom. In our effort to leave a sense of the original while remaking the game from scratch, it took 18 months of trial and error to figure out what to keep and what to change, until the game's first stage at the police station was finally complete. A nice look into the development of the game itself. Now, number 1. If you haven't played Resident Evil 2 Remake, my goodness, one of the best gaming experiences of the last 5 years for me. I truly love that game. It really is impressive. In terms of how it looks, it's mind-blowingly good-looking game. In addition to that, it plays incredibly well, and it does have a ton of replay value. You can play through it something like 4 times with different tracks for each, and of course, there are some areas of overlap. You do get some replay value out of it, but it's fine. It's a great game. Now, I'm glad to see Capcom throwing itself into reviving dormant IP, because quite frankly, it hasn't been done that much. And if other older games can be remade as well as Resident Evil 2, then by all means, do it. And I say a lot that I'm tired of seeing remakes, I'm tired of seeing remasters, because quite frankly, some of them can be pumped out, rechurned, if you will, and plopped down onto a modern console, make tons and tons of money with minimal changes. Resident Evil 2 is an exception. It was rebuilt from the ground up. It's a totally new experience with a classic story and characters. That's ideal. That's great. Do more of that. And of course, Monster Hunter World, mind-blowingly popular in 2019. Of course, killed it in 2018. Iceborne, the new expansion, really doing well from what I understand. Just keep doing what you're doing, boys. Just keep doing what you're doing. Capcom is killing it right now, and it's good to see, because they were on the down for a long time, a downward slope, especially during that Dead Rising phase, around Dead Rising 2, specifically going into Dead Rising 3. That was whenever things got to be a bit rough, to say the least. But it looks like things are on the up and up. However, if you don't want to play any of these games, I've got a couple of freebies for you on the Epic Games Store. Observer and Alan Wake's American Nightmare are free on the Epic Games Store. It was Thursday. Now it's Friday, so you know what that means. Throw It At You Thursday is once again upon us, which means it's time to pop round to the Epic Games Store to get our latest fix of free stuff. This week is a twofer featuring Bloober Team's cyberpunk horror game Observer and Remedy's supernatural creepo thriller Alan Wake's American Nightmare. Observer is an interesting game because it was generally quite well received. The Xbox One edition has an 86 aggregate score on Metacritic, yet we didn't much care for it, they say a PC gamer. Despite some outstanding moments, it relies too much on repeated assets and layouts and sacrifices cyberpunk cred for a too familiar family story. He's not Deckard in Blade Runner, he's Liam Neeson in Taken, and that's less interesting. We set an hour 45 out of 100 review at PC Gamer. Interestingly, the author feels the same way about Alan Wake, a critical darling, 83 on Metacritic, that didn't really turn my crank, they say at PC Gamer. Okay, the setting was interesting, but the gameplay wore thin quickly, and with all due respect to Mr. Lake, I had no idea what was going on through any of it. Evil or something, right? Yeah, pretty much. American Nightmare is a standalone sequel that pits AI against his dastardly doppelganger, Mr. Scratch, in the arid environs, what the hell, of Arizona. You can't go wrong for free. Again, free stuff is free stuff, so dive on to the Epic Games Store and check out Observer and Alan Wake's American Nightmare for free. If anything, do what I do and add them to your backlog, because I haven't played one of the... Actually, no, hold on. I played Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden on the Epic Games Store. I have not played anything else. So if you do want to dive in, get these games, add them to your library, and you never know, you could dive in one day. Maybe. Who knows? But that rounds out today's episode of the Jampack Report. If you enjoyed this one, drop me a like if you are watching on YouTube. If you are in a podcast feed, subscribe to the show and get it delivered to you every single weekday. But until Monday, you guys have a phenomenal rest of your weekend. I will be back on Sunday with an episode of The Drop on YouTube if you did want to see the hottest games coming out next week, which include games like Modern Warfare, which include The Outer Worlds. Tons of games coming out next week. We will break it all down. But until then, have a good one and peace.